You know what motivation really is? It's someone else's agenda dressed up as your energy. Let's start with the obvious bullshit. Every single time you need to get motivated, you're essentially admitting that you don't want to do the thing. You're looking for someone else to convince you that you should care about something you clearly don't give a shit about. When was the last time you needed motivation to eat pizza? To watch a show you actually like? To text someone you're attracted to? Never. Because when you genuinely want something, motivation isn't even in the equation. You just do it. But somehow we've been convinced that this external manipulation is normal, that it's healthy, that it's necessary for success. Here's what actually happens when you consume motivational content. You watch some guru scream at you about hustling, you feel pumped for about 6 hours, maybe you clean your room or write 3 sentences. Then you crash harder than crypto in 2022. So what do? You go back for another hit, another guru, another framework for unleashing your potential. This is addiction psychology 101. Create the problem, then sell the solution. Make people feel inadequate about their natural state, then offer them a temporary high that requires constant replenishment. The motivation industry has convinced you that your default setting is wrong, that not wanting to grind 16 hours a day means you're lazy, that feeling exhausted by meaningless work means you lack discipline, that questioning whether you actually want what society tells you to want means you need better motivation. Your resistance isn't laziness. What if your body and mind refusing to get excited about soul-crushing bullshit is actually your internal wisdom trying to save you from wasting your life? You want something real, not a carrot hanging on a string making an ass out of you. Let me tell you what real energy looks like. It's 3 a.m. and you're still working on something because you can't put it down. It's talking about an idea so passionately that people think you're slightly unhinged. It's the feeling of flow where time disappears because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's not motivation. That's resonance. What happens when your actions match your actual values instead of your programmed directives. The difference is fundamental. Motivation asks, how can I make myself want this? Resonance asks, what do I actually want? One turns you into a trained animal performing tricks for treats. The other lets you be a human being pursuing what matters to you. But the system doesn't want you to find your resonance. It wants you to be motivated because motivated people are predictable. They follow programs, they buy courses, they work jobs they hate to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. Resonant people are dangerous. They might quit. They might create something new. They might refuse to play the game entirely. They might make bold and dangerous YouTube channels that call out the whole system. So the system floods you with motivational content. Instagram accounts telling you to rise and grind, podcasts about optimizing your mindset, books about developing unstoppable discipline. This is yet another filthy word that deserves a whole separate video, by the way. All designed to keep you chasing external validation instead of developing internal clarity. People who actually create things aren't motivated to do them. They're obsessed with them. Obsession doesn't require motivation. It requires the exact opposite. It requires not being able to stop. Notice how this system treats obsession. People even laugh at it. They shame you for not having a balanced schedule, for being too intense, for not switching off. Obsession is ridiculed, pathologized, and treated as something unhealthy. When you burn your life on a job you hate, sticking to schedules and KPIs, that's called discipline. When you can't stop working on something that actually matters to you, that's called a problem. But obsession with the right thing only comes from knowing what the right thing is for you. And you can't know that if you're constantly drowning out your inner voice with external cheerleading. If nothing energizes you, if everything feels dead and mechanical, the problem isn't your motivation level. The problem is that you're living someone else's life, wearing someone else's goals like an ill fitting costume.